Hello everyone, this is AgentOvo992 and today we're back for another brand new video and yeah, there's not much to talk about tonight. And you know, we're laughing now because CD9 took his 9th shot, 9th in the game, busting the back of net in the 93rd minute of the game, right? So we can sit back and we can enjoy, we can laugh, we can have a wee bit of fun. But if CD9 doesn't put that into the back of net and take that chance in his record-breaking night for maybe all the wrong reasons, we're having a completely different conversations. But I don't want to go be doing about ifs and maybes and that, right? I know there is going to be people very unhappy about the standard of the game, the way we played. We're going to discuss it right here on the channel. But the fact that we played as badly as that, and we had Dessers doing whatever the hell he did up front tonight, perfectly summarising his entire Rangers career on his 100th game for this club. Yet all of that madness, we come away with all 3 points. It was just the maximum we can go ahead and do in these games. To me, is a very good thing. And again, I'm going to do it with a smile on my face. So go ahead and strap yourselves in. We're going to be here for a wee while, as there is a lot to talk about. Because I'd actually argue, despite the laughs and despite the sort of the manic disbelief of what just went ahead and witnessed, I'd actually argue that game of football, as in both teams contributing to it, was probably the single most entertaining game of football you can ever see. I really mean that. Obviously the 0-for-1s are great and we've had great wins here, great wins here, but if you're talking about an entertainment value, if you're tuning into any game, a game that finishes like that but has the chances and swings one way then goes the complete other and just has everything in every facet and aspect that game went ahead and delivered, that's probably about as purest as football chaos you will ever see. And if you ever wanted a summary, if you ever need a statement to back up this Rangers team, football and chaos is truly who we are, led by the king of chaos, CD number 9. And I know we've already spoke about him a lot in today's video, but it's hard to really break down and react to Rangers for Dundee 3 without mentioning the king of chaos, because his fingerprints are absolutely everywhere, for the good and the bad. The good being obviously the last minute goals, the limbs, the excitement, the adrenaline buzz. The fact that we are all smiling tonight and happy is due to an unbelievable bit of skill and composure to tuck the ball into the back of the net in the 93rd minute when the pressure is at its absolute peak. Sensational. Meanwhile, equally, for arguably 90, if not 99% of the game, as good as that moment was, he matched it in terms of bad, and not just bad, a lot of it was just damn awful. Number 9 gameplay in terms of getting through on goal and having shots, just blasting them at goalies, you know what I mean? Dessers put me through the ringer. The Dessers experience that we've spoke about a lot on this channel, that genuinely may be the thing that eventually finishes me off, pushed me to a level that I wasn't just mad, I wasn't just frustrated, I wasn't just infuriated. I reached a level where I genuinely thought the grey locks was going to burst into flames like the wee mad Hades for the Hercules cartoon. That's the level he put me in the day. But again, he scored a winner and he's so hard to break down, he's so hard to discuss. Statistically brilliant, but on the eye sometimes it genuinely feels like they're bleeding and you want to pull them out. I've got absolutely no idea how to even discuss or broach the subject of Cyriel Dessers. 12 shots! 12 shots! That's nearly the same amount as Dundee had in the entire game of football, in a game that they created chance after chance pretty much every time they went forward. Dessers has nearly matched their team as a collective by himself, which is crazy to say, especially considering the fact he only scored 1 goal. But from the 12 shots, 8 of them were on target. You would argue 5 of them were big chances and 4 of them is about as clear-cut opportunities. And I think if you ever want to see Rangers get back to winning league titles and winning trophy after trophy and going on great runs, the likes of those 4 clear-cut opportunities, the other ones, the headers, he was unlucky, safe, I'm talking about the 4. You know what it is if you've seen the game. You need a striker to take at least 1 of those golden opportunities. The goal he scored's not included and the absolute sitters that he missed, or clear shots that he had with just a goalie to beat. No, because in typical Dessers' fashion, he went ahead, scored one of the most difficult chances he had all day, where again, he rides his luck with the defender making a mistake, but to bring that down on the chest and then to tickle it by a goalie after how rash he's been all game is completely maddening, and I do start to feel like that Stewie gift the more I think about Dessers. But again, the Dessers experience kills not only me, but it kills every one of us, because on a stat sheet, absolutely brilliant. 100 games, 47, 48 goals, incredible turnaround. But it's the misses a lot that really come there, right? And we can talk about the misses till the cows come home, you know what I mean? It's not just the day that he's missed at Dens, but he missed last year in a 0-0 when we bottled the league title a week after missing a major chance versus Ross County, right? You can look at Dessers' career and pick out big moments and big misses where it's came back to bite us in the Jacksy, but equally you could pick out moments and games and great goals that he's also scored. And you know what do you start to notice when you start to look at the good and the bad Dessers, and the good and the bad Rangers? Dessers is always putting himself in that place to take that chance, or to try to be the guy to take the chance. He's never one to hide. He's never away hiding in the background or being injured or off here, no making. He's always given absolute everything, and I guess there is something in that. Again, we all want him to be a success. I would love it to. Again, do I believe he will be the Rangers number 9 next season? Do I believe he could win us a league title? No, I don't, and I think the last 2 years has showed that because of just how wild the ups and downs actually are. But there's nothing that can be won this season domestically left. We need Dessers to keep firing, keep his value up, score the odd goal, and help this dysfunctioning, erratic, inexperienced Rangers side over the line with what's left domestically, and keep us cooking, and hopefully take some of that magic that he clearly has got in one of the legs, and occasionally they head into Europe and sprinkle more magic in there. So I know it's a wee bit messy, I know it's a bit mad, but that's just the perfect way to summarise this guy, because that's what he is. The good and the bad of Dessers we could talk about all day, and we saw on his 100th appearance for his club, but he scored the winner, so full credit to him. But the rest of it, he's got to be better, man, surely. But again, on the flip side of that, from a neutral perspective, or looking at the game fairly, you've also got to give Dundee, because they treated us with the respect and they came after us. They weren't giving us any time in the ball. They were hustling and hassling. And again, they started the game off fantastically, getting in and amongst it, forcing a mistake. I believe it was from Ridvan first. From a Turkish delight to whatever the hell I went ahead and watched. That was horrific for wee Ridvan, but that's the cycle. Ridvan, he'll come on and have a really good game, then he'll start the next game and be absolutely brilliant. Then there's 3-4 forgettable games where he plays himself out of the squad. Jeff will come in, Barisic will come in, etc, etc will come in, and then eventually Ridvan will come off the bench, look like the energised bunny, look absolutely sensational, play good in his next match, and then just fall off a cliff. That's the cycle of Ridvan, and maybe, as I say, it's a cycle of a lot of these players, and it's maybe why we are where we are in terms of winning trophies and silverwares. We have too many 1 in every 5 games is good enough, or 1 in every 12 shots, or target, if you get my drift. There's just too many on their day are good, but aren't consistent enough, and I thought Ridvan was shambolic, but his pass back to Ridvan was bad. Ridvan's touch was bad. They end up doing a counter. They get a corner that shouldn't have been a corner as it was offside, but again, VAR can't check corners, and from the very corner that shouldn't have been given, whipped into the mixer. And to be fair, Simon Murray with his 19th goal of the season's outrageous. Tavernier, weak defensively, really, really poor in there, but that doesn't surprise you. I mean, slow to react, slow to identify the danger, and Simon Murray's put one in the bread basket, and you're saying that is genuinely the worst thing that could have happened. You know, until the next 10 to 12 minutes where we almost had a bingo carded collection of failures. But before we get to Jack Butland throwing one into his back of his net, I get no liking this returning. You know what I mean? I was glad to see Rangers returning for the international break. No enjoying that, Jackie B, but we'll get there in a minute, because 1-0 down, we need a moment, we need a bit of brilliance, we need our number 9 to score the big goal, to grab the game and flip the momentum that clearly is on the side of Dundee. And Barron supplies a gorgeous through ball right into the kisser, but unfortunately Dessers cannot get this one on target. But again, it's not one of the 4 clear-cut golden opportunities that I hold. This one's a wee bit more to the right. He's got Shaughnessy on his shoulder, It was a harder one, but again, it was a chance. The big chance came several minutes later where Diamande ends up flicking a header on to Cyriel Dessers, who's just got, oh damn day, gets it on his left foot, which I know he's right footed, but if you look at his Rangers goals, half of his best finishes are on his left. So I'll be honest, I was naive here. I never charged that. I said, he's no missed here. I lost count of the tally of Dessers' shots before he does score. So when it dropped to him on the left and he's got the goalie just to beat him, you know what I mean? It's got to be. But he just blasts it horrifically straight at the goalkeeper. You know what I mean? Oh, it's a great save by Carr. Is it? A cone would have saved it. And if a cone would have saved it in the goals, whether or not you stick a pair of gloves air the top or no, to me, doesn't make it a great save. And it's not. It's just straight. It's horrific. Any side. And he's burst the back of the net. But anyway, we move on from there. From the eventual corner that we did get, nothing really happens of it again. And there's a couple wee moments. There's a couple wee maybes. There's a couple mere shots. But then what goes ahead and happens? Just a flashback to all of our worst nightmares all season. Unfortunately, it's at the hands of Jackie B. But where again we've also criticised Butland a hell of a lot this season, and I really thought he had turned the corner after Fenerbahce and after Celtic, but it's a lapse. It's 1 in 5, it's 1 in 4, it's 1 in 12. It's the same. You can look at every Rangers player and say on their day they're great, but there's always free games and free poor mistakes and free bad things to the get to that level, and you can never win anything with that. You just can't. We've not got the strength and depth good enough to cover when these players are having howlers and howlers after this. But where a lot of this is on Jackie B's hands, clearly, because it's horrific. Sterling's a wee bit too late to come out as Dundee hit it into the mixer. I think Simon Murray forces a save, Butland, but again, it's just straight but he spills it right out to Shaughnessy, who taps it in the back of it, and it's 2-0 to Dundee after 19 minutes. Dessers has missed the golden opportunity. He's already had 2 chances in the game, but a clear-cut opportunity to make it 1-0, sorry, and I'm saying, oh, here we go. Not only are we back to our worst best, we're back to doing the Barry tactic of being 2-0 down. I told you, I didn't like this. Speaking of not liking this, Dundee actually technically score a third goal of the game, but the referee blows early for a foul on Raskin as Silla, who was already booked, by the way, comes in with a challenge. But to me, and again, I know it's not the staunchest thing to say, I didn't think that's a foul, and I think we got very, very, very lucky there. If the referee doesn't blow and he lets that play out and VAR checks that foul and goes back for it and looks at it, that's not a foul to me. So I think we could have, probably should have been 3-0 down. But again, where's Butland? He's looking like one of the guys, the side men, get in for the charity game so everybody can look good and score loads of goals. Just diving late. It's like the shot's already came, right? This is the shot, bang. And then this is Butland 5 minutes later. It's horrific, and it's so laggy and it's so slow, but thankfully we get a wee bit of luck there again, and we required that luck because Tiffany goes very, very close. After that, Simon Murray has another shot. They're having set piece after set piece for the next 10 minutes. It's about as ugly as we couldn't get the ball down. It was like hot tatty. Nobody was winning their individual duels. It was the exact opposite of everything, and we really had to hang in. And I genuinely thought Barry was going to make an early sub. I know I think he sent Danilo out. I think he sent Hadju, and I think he sent Jeff out, and I didn't know how Ridvan survived that. You know what I mean? If Nisala gets ripped off the way that he did, Todd Cantwell gets ripped off the way he did for Clermont, Ridvan, by God, that's first ballot Hall of Fame. Go to be ripped off, but somehow the wee man survived. Maybe they just couldn't see him, but either way, we had to dig in, we had to stick in, and we just had to make one of the chances that was falling to Dessers count. But again, it wasn't. Chance where he'd chance there. We end up getting a corner again. Comes in, brilliantly delivered by Tavernier. Dessers, to be fair to him, does really well here. Puts it low, and I believe it's cleared off the line for Simon Murray, and you're saying, there you go then. Butland's threw one in. Tav's been weak defensively in a goal we've conceded. Dessers is missing sitters, and now we've got the clearance offline. All we need is a Dessers goal, and we've got a cheeky little bingo. I did forget to mention, by the way, one of the few times that Egeman was allowed to have a ball and shoot the ball, that one was the corner that Dessers nearly scored in it. But Egeman would have his say as well, because he did create several opportunities for Dessers, and I've seen a lot of, Egeman's dreadful with the ball, Egeman's dreadful with the ball, and I understand there is times where maybe his pass is a bit lack, or his pass is there. This is a young striker is getting played almost as a 10 to facilitate a striker that requires 12 shots to score a goal. Let that sink in. You know what I mean? It's maddening to think about, but he still put some shots on a plate for Cyriel Dessers, and that comes after the moment for Tavernier getting down the right hand side, where Tavernier almost just took the initiative and went, you know what, nothing's happening. We've not got Czerny on the park, and by God, did you see how much we rely on Czerny? It's the same way we used to rely on Kent. Just kick it to the wing and hope he drags us up the park. But to be fair to the skipper, who wasn't playing get up to this point, ran down the wing and does what only he still to this day can do in a Rangers team, and that's put in a ball absolutely in a dime. Incredible ball for the skipper, and Shaughnessy slides in for his second goal of the day, but thankfully it's a split one in terms of for Dundee and for Rangers, and that own goal was genuinely a godsend. But where it's to say, oh, we're lucky with the own goal, I think if you look at the delivery for Tav, coming up for your right centre back, pushing Sterling out the road, going forward and taking the initiative, that's what we need the skipper to do. And for all his faults, again, he was there at a big moment and a big time, and we needed that. Trust me, we needed it. But where the frustration comes with Dessers missing these chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. That's 7 back. We're still chance after chance. These chances, momentum can be won so quickly if you go ahead and score a goal. And just look at what happened. As soon as we made it 2-1, Dundee go, oh, and then Rangers have got the opportunities. And this is where Iggerman slides in an absolute beautiful ball to Dessers, right? He's got the opportunity. And then Dessers, again, just blasts it. Just horrific. It looks like a centre forward playing up front. And not a good. Centre just smashes it straight at the goalie. And then a couple minutes later, Iggerman again, for all his faults on the ball, plays a ball. But this time, to be fair, it's this one's on Dessers, because he takes a Bergkamp-esque touch round the defender. You know what I mean? The defender's saying here, the goal's that way, and Dessers is through. He's like, it looked like a Looney Tunes sketch. Gorgeous first touch, but then the finish, again, just smashing it straight at the goalie. And that's how the first half ends. 2-1, but again, it genuinely could be 3-1 to Dundee, but equally on part of that, it could at least be about 4-3 to us if Dessers has took his big chances, especially the two before first half, because he's again just in on the goalie either side, and it's a goal and his composed finish that he has in the 93rd minute. If he's got that same touch and that same composure, the boy scored 5 goals a day. Easy, but it's horrific. And aye, we were very, very lucky got in at half time. But I made the joke on Twitter, you know what I mean, I probably was not there because I still just deleted it all, because the way Twitter is now with bots and all that crap, if I didn't clean up my tweets and timelines and that, all I get for weeks when I check my notifications is, wow, great, fire emojis. It's pathetic. So I always just tweet you at the game, then I just delete them all at the end of the game, win, lose or draw, because Twitter's just a mess these days with bots. But you know, I made that joke at half time saying Rangers are playing that badly, we probably couldn't play. Whilst the defence is a shambles, Butland's being a shambles, and Dessers is being a shambles. But the good thing is that Dessers has missed 4 or 5 big chances. All he needs to do is miss another 3, and he's gone ahead and scoring, charging up the game breaker. And to be fair, that was only 1 off. But changes clearly had to be made, and changes did come, but it wasn't maybe necessarily the changes a lot of us were expecting, because I was sure Ridvan was coming out. You know what I mean? The only way Ridvan was getting out in that half is if he snuck underneath somebody's legs and ran out the park. That's as far as I knew he was going to come out. But aye, he stayed on for a bit. It was Baylor Rice and Hadji for Leon Balogun, and it was Connor Barron that was also substituted just to add a wee bit more creative flair, but also maybe the physicality of what a Baylor Rice can bring. And you know, the way that game was going to throwing him into that spotlight, it's no 4-1 and cruising or 3-0 at home. Maybe that is what the likes of Baylor Rice really needs to kick him on, is to go into. Now, it wasn't great or anything like that, but to learn for that experience and be in that atmosphere and get that trust for a midfielder the likes of Barry, probably do the world of him a bit of good as well. And the second half started pretty good from Rangers, if I'm honest, despite giving away an early corner. We end up hitting him on our counter-attack. Iggerman plays in Dessers again. Dessers goes beautifully around the goalkeeper. It's cool, it's composed, and I'm like, oh god, there he is. That's just what he does. But yeah, his cool, composed, calm finish is clearly because the boys offside, and after a lengthy VAR check, again it is ruled, and you're thinking, of course he scores the offside one. Dessers then has another chance in the game of football in the 55th minute. Brilliant ball for Tav, right to the mixer, but Dessers can't get on it. Hadji does a couple of wee nice things, has a shot at the bar, and I'm thinking, right, this is good. Rangers are building, let's just stay compact in the middle, and then we can go ahead and do this. And just as I say, it just all crumbles in. Tavernier gets beat, Sterling gets beat down the right, they come in, they cross the ball, they end up hitting the outside of the post, and by God, then, before you've even got your hands down, we've made another mistake at the left back area. area, and they've ended up running through it on goal when Ridvan's not even... I don't even know where Ridvan is at this point, but he ends up running through. Butland comes out, and I'm thinking, oh God, he's just going to go around Butland and score, but the guy tries a wee cheeky chip, but thankfully it's just over, and you're thinking, what has just happened in the space of a minute? They could have scored 2 goals against us, and again, when you look at the gilt-edged chances they had, they probably should have. But again, we ignore those warnings and then concede again. Horrific. Like this time it's Jeff who's just on for Ridvan. He's lost as well. There's just no communication in the centre-back positions. You know what I mean? Suter's not talking to anybody. There's none. There, Suter's getting out-jumped by a guy that's 5'10". How's that happening? But horrific. He does it down and then goes to the left. To be fair, it's a great finish by Scott McTiffany. Just buries it in there. And yeah, he could have scored another a couple of minutes later, or a couple of minutes prior, I should say, as he had a gilt edge opportunity where the ball comes in and he misses pretty much an open goal. That's just before Dessers scored, the offside goal. So he did have a golden opportunity, but he scored the screamer and 3-1. You're thinking, well, that's a dagger. What the hell are we even doing? And where Rangers seemed shell-shocked at that point, I think Barry and the team did as well. The management team, that is they went ahead and made another substitution. As Danilo come on, I went, right, Egeman and Danilo during that short period where we looked like a free-flowing attacking squad that was scoring goals for fun. This is what we really, really need. Egeman's coming off. I was fuming. And again, that is where I voiced my opinion. Ferguson was ruthless with Nisala because he took him off when he was playing horrendous to send a message to the rest, but Dessers is getting to stay on for what? Like a charity feel good. In fact, I was beeling at this goal, but again, that's why I'm a fan, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a manager. I never will pretend to be, because Dessers is kept on the park and Dessers ends up having the final say. But again, Lady Luck was certainly in her favour, because the next major opportunity after Danilo puts the ball on a sixpence after bringing it down beautifully, Dessers misses again. And it was at that point, again, it just reached the point where you could see even it's like, what is going on? The commentary was speechless. He was speechless. He was bouncing up and down. He couldn't understand how none was gone his way. You seen it after that save. I think that was that the 7th shot or the 8th shot? I think it was the 7th shot, which was like the 5th or 4th on target at this point. He's bouncing up and down and saying, what do I need to do? That's how we all felt, CD. But again, where I was frustrated at the previous sub, the next sub I was actually surprisingly alright with. It was Diamandi coming off for Lawrence, and I've spoken about Lawrence a lot. You know, when I was up here, I was down here. I knew I'm actually just happy when he does come on, because he's been on a bit of steel, and I thought he was very good in the second game versus Fenerbahce, especially in injury time, and he was very good versus Celtic with the one they cleared and everything like that. So I like the way Lawrence has gone about his business, so I didn't hate it, especially with how physical the game was. Diamandi was blowing out his ass. I'd reached that point where Diamandi's just like a paper bag blowing about the surface, right? So we needed, so I was like, right, at least that's more of a goal threat. And I know I've made that joke a couple of times on Twitter, but again, the guy can strike a ball and he can score. And I'm not an oracle, I'm not a seer and that, but Lawrence has always got a chance at a goal at least. And I'd rather have boys like him than Hadji and Cherny on, because there's a chance that they can score, right? You look at some people like, oh, you're never scoring in a month for daisies, but Lawrence has got that in his game. But again, it wasn't his time. It wasn't his time for the screamer. It was the skippers, and it's brilliant. You know what I mean? The ball goes to Raskin, the ball goes to Tavernier. Tavernier one touch. It's just a ridiculous, ridiculous finish. And I'm trying everything I can do to reverse jinx Cyriel Dessers online. I said, stick him up front for Dessers. I'm trying what I can to get the old gods on our favour, but it's a ridiculous goal. And again, with how bad he was for the first goal we've gave away, he's then got us a goal with an assist. And he scored an absolute screamer that, again, no other person on the park can score besides maybe Tommy Lawrence. And I don't know why I'm saying maybe, because Tommy did. Before Tommy did, however, there was a penalty check, and it was one where Danilo protects the ball and he comes in from behind. But again, I don't know the rules anymore, you know what I mean? I'm seeing goals chopped off for that type of film, and I'm not seeing penalties go. I don't know, I don't want to talk about it. I'm sick of talking about penalties and VAR and all that crap, right? But to me, it looks like he's then got control of the ball, then he gets... But who knows? You know, the game changes every 4.5 seconds. But thankfully, we didn't have to address that, because Danilo, right on a sixpence, plays it, and it actually goes back to Raskin to grab his second assist, I believe, or maybe just that would have been his first, because I think there was a bounce on the Tavernier one. But anyway, it goes to Tom Lawrence, and Lawrence, I'm screaming, hit it, hit it, that's what you've got when you're good, hit it. And he does, and he bursts it back in it with a great, great finish. And do you know what I loved? his celebration. You know what I mean? It wasn't, oh, it's about me, I'm leaving the club at the end of the season. I think that's clear to everyone. There, I've scored, blah, blah, blah. I want it to be me. There is free, all that crap. It was, yeah, cool, get that ball and let's get back. And for all the frustration that Tom Lawrence has given us Rangers fans, because he's one that you look back at and my God, if he could have stayed injury free at that first run when he scored at Hibs, he could have done this, he could have done that. I like the way he's gone about his business, and I know this video's too long, but the perfect way I can summarise it, it's clear what's happening with his future, right? He's leaving at the end of the season, his contract is up, but instead of being one of those players that's just sitting around the background or hiding on the bench and hiding, no wanting to do this, and who's chucked it, he's coming on and he's given everything, and I can respect that level of professionalism. And it was a great goal, and then it was free, and I'm thinking, right, here we go. But again, Dundee were still lingering out. Dundee were still creating opportunities, and Simon Murray nearly punished us yet again after another defensive mistake. But again, the game was like a basketball game. They were having a chance, we were having a half chance. 84th minute, Dessers has another 2 shots. One of them, this one's a tighter angle, so I'm fine with this one. It was actually a really good shot, and it was a good save by Carson. That, yeah, and I'll give him, you know what I mean? If the cone needs to move, I'll give it a good save. Good for Dessers there, hitting it hard and everything like that. But then Dundee looked like they're going to score as Simon Murray goes ahead and hits the post in the 90th minute. And you're like, oh my God. Thankfully that was enough. I'm sick of that guy just turning into some kind of ginger Crespo every single, he just scores goals, he's here, he's there, he just makes me feel very, very ill whenever I see him play against us. But that last touch with him was him on the bench, and then he obviously sat very sadly as Rangers went ahead, scored a winner, which does bring joy to my heart. But again, we've talked about the goal a couple of times, we've addressed it a couple of times. It's a wee bit lucky the defender headers on, the defenders makes an absolute arse in this one, but it drops the CD on a sixpence, tips it away, and there's your game winner. We did have a couple more chances after that, as in typical Dessers' fashion. After scoring the game breaker, he's got to reset it. He has another 3 shots that are all missed. But I couldn't care less, ladies and gentlemen. We have just went ahead and won a game of football that from the very first seconds of this match didn't seem likely. Oh my God, you're celebrating this, she's never won the league today, blah blah blah. We can't win the league today. All you can win is 3 points. That's the maximum we could have got, and that's what we got, especially in a game that certainly never looked like we're going to win it for a lot of it. But I'm happy, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it will be a game you can look back at and pick holes at, and I'm proud to try to look at the game fairly by talking about some of those holes. But I've seen us play great and lose a game. I've seen us play bad and win a game, and it's probably made in the latter of the day, but a win's a win. 3 points, 3 points, and a last minute limbs winner is a last minute limbs winner. And that's what football is all about. So I'm going to bed happy tonight. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comments section below. It's never dull. It's never easy. But would we change it? Yeah, we would. That would be great if we could get some comfortable 3 points. But anyway, I've been Cyriel. Who's your man of match? What do you do with Dessers? Who is Dessers? Let me know how you're feeling. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.